In this video, I will build complete Angular CRUD application using .NET Web API. For that, I have already created a .NET Web API. The API link is provided in the description. So you can use the same link to see how to make a web API. As we can see that my employee web API is working perfectly. All my get, post, put, delete, request is working. Postman is a tool used to test API without a front end. To test a GET API, first copy the API URL from the description of GET and paste it on the GET request. Then send the request. We get a 200 OK response, which means our API is working successfully. And here, this is the data returned from the database. We can get data by ID also. Now change the method to post. Paste the post API URL. And enter the request data like this. Now click send. You can see the success message 200 OK and the data has been inserted in the database. Now change the method to put. Paste the URL with ID. Put is used to update the data. For delete method, first we get the ID and delete the specific data. This step is important because if API fails, frontend will never work. It helps isolate backend issues early. Now that our API is working, let's create an Angular project. First, I will create a new project. I'm using Angular CLI command to create a new project. Once the project is created, I will open it in VS Code. This is a project structure. In Angular, we mainly work with models, which defines data structure, services that handles API calls, and components that handle UI and interaction. This separation makes the application clean, scalable, and easy to maintain. First, in app.config.ts, we are adding HTTP client and import. This enables HTTP communication in my Angular application. It allows your Angular app to talk to backend server web API. Now I will create a model. This model represents the structure of data coming from the API. It holds properties like ID, name, email, salary, and phone. I have used question mark in ID and phone because they are optional. Model is important because of strong typing and fewer runtime errors. Now I will open my new terminal. Inside this, I will generate services of employee. This is the syntax of service. Here in our directory, I can see services is generated. Employee service in Angular is used to handle all API calls related to employee. Here I have imported injectable HTTP client, observable, and employee. HTTP client is used to call APIs. In employee, this is a model that defines the structure of employee data. Observable is used in Angular. HTTP calls are asynchronous, so they return observable. Now in API URL, I will give my .NET Web API URL. Here injectable is used to make the code globally available. Constructor is used for dependency injection. It injects HTTP client. Get employee fetch is used to fetch employee, calls get API and return the list. Add employee is used for post. This sends the employee object to backend. Update employee is used for put. This will send the ID in URL and update the data in body. Delete is used to remove employee. Now I will generate component for employee. This component displays employee data, handles user actions, and bind data to the UI. Employee component will call the service and the service calls the API. So inside employee component, I will import form module for HTML and employee service to enable the services and API calls. Here I have used in standalone true because no ng module is needed. This line implements onIt lifecycle hook. Employees store all employees fetched from backend. This will be used in HTML. Selected employee is a form model. This object is bound to form fields and used for add or and edit. Here the constructor will inject employee services and enables API communication. ng on it is used for component load. Load employees is used to call get API. VS Code is already providing suggestions. Here, save employee is a single method that handles add and update. This is update logic. Here edit mode is on and ID exists in if statement. This .emp service and this .selected employee.id is used to call put API and update existing employee. In else statement, I'm adding add logic. This will call post API and adds new employees. This dot reset form is used to clear form and refresh the list. Now this is edit employee. This will copy selected row data into form and enables edit mode. Delete employee will call delete API and refreshes the list. Then I will add reset form to clear form fields and switch back to add mode. After creating the component, I need to display it on the home page. So I add component selector or configure routing. Now I will make employee HTML for displaying it on web page. It is the template view for employee component. It shows add edit form and displays employee list in a table. This will bind UI and component using Angular directives. First, we will add margin from top to keep UI centered and responsive. Then card wrapper. Here VS Code is giving suggestions. We can use it. This is dynamic card header, uses Angular interpolation to change title automatically. The input type is used to add name. Here ng model is two-way data binding. Goes into selected employee.name and edit mode autofills this field. Same goes for phone, email, and salary. Next is our employee table. Here we have an error. In employee component, we have EMP not full employee. In constructor, we have EMP service, not employee service. Error in this page is solved. Employee HTML is also completed. Now I want to add Bootstrap in my web page. So first I will install that in terminal. I will copy Bootstrap CDN from Google and paste it in index.html so that my app will use that Bootstrap. Add Bootstrap in Angular.json also. Now we can use responsive layout. Next is while connecting Angular to .NET API, we get a course error. This happens because Angular runs on different port and API runs on different port. So for that, we write this code in our program.cs to allow Angular to connect with Visual Studio. Now my Angular website is working. This is how CRUD in Angular works. That's it for today. Thank you for watching.